AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt!
Shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
You, sir. And Mr. Toby Topley. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Terrio, 1 hour from right now. Back in studio. Thrilled to be here. Let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
Well, SEC football media days in the rear view mirror. Talking season just about wrapped up and getting ready to tee it up, kick it off here in a little more than a month. LSU will open up fall camp on August the 5th. They'll report the 4th, and they'll open up practice on the 5th. I don't know if those dates have been announced yet, but that's what it's expected to be. So a little more than a week away from the Tigers being out on the field preparing for the maiden voyage of the Lane Kiffin era. And with SEC Media Days wrapping up, there's always one more piece of business, and the media the assembled media this year in Tampa, is asked to pick the champion, predict the order of finish, and choose the preseason all-conference teams. So the assembled media, their at Media Days, every credentialed member gets an email ballot. They submit it, and then on Friday after Media Days, they release it. So this is how it looks. The SEC media has chosen Georgia as the champion for this coming season. Georgia received 88 votes. Texas was next with 57 votes. These are first-place votes, right? Votes to win the SEC. So Georgia, 88, Texas, 57, followed by Ole Miss with 6 votes. Texas A&M with 5, Bama with 3, Oklahoma and LSU 2 apiece, and Kentucky with 1 vote. Because some poor hapless soul picked Kentucky. And I think that poor hapless soul was on Sports Today earlier because Bruce Marshall was talking to Hannah Griffin, said he was the one who picked Kentucky. And I can confirm I saw Bruce at SEC Media Days, and he was wearing a Kentucky shirt. One day. And then another day he was wearing a Texas shirt. I don't know why.
Spreading the love.
That's what he does.
Spreading the love, man. It's Brucey.
I did hear Bruce say to Hannah Griff that he picked Kentucky because, well, like last year nobody had Indiana. I'm like, okay. Anyway, few observations here. Most notably, I think what for our audience, what we'd be most concerned about is what did the media say about LSU? And I'm going to give you the caveat here in just a moment that I always do whenever we do this every single year. But they had LSU 5th. I'm not going to bury the lead or make you wait on it. They had LSU 5th, so the exact order of finish as the media predicted it. Here you go. Georgia 1, like we mentioned. Texas 2. Ole Miss 3. More on that in a second. Followed by Texas A&M, LSU 5, Alabama 6, Oklahoma, Tennessee. That's the top 8. Draw a line, bottom half of the league, Florida 9, Missouri 10, South Carolina 11, Auburn 12, Vanderbilt 13, and the bottom 3, Kentucky, Mississippi State, and Arkansas. That's how the media projected the SEC to finish. Now, if you followed our coverage this week at SEC Media Days, one of the things that really struck me is it's pretty apparent. There are 8 teams in the conference who all fancy themselves as a playoff team this year. Georgia and Texas are the obvious ones at the top. Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Bama, Oklahoma, they were all in the playoff a year ago. Alabama or LSU's got Lane Kiffin. They spent $50 million on this roster. Think they'll got a shot to be in there. And then Tennessee was in 2 years ago, backslid last season, and the expectation is they get back in this year. So you got 8 programs in this conference that all think they're going to the playoff. And I got news for you, Coach. The SEC ain't getting 8 teams in. So you're going to have a bunch of really disappointed people among that group. The question is, how will that group sort of materialize throughout the course of a 9-game conference schedule? Now, I told you there was a caveat that I want to throw out that I throw out every year whenever we talk about this. There are over 1,000 credentialed media members at Media Days. And some of them are Radio Row, some are TV folks, some are national writers, some are local market. Some just come for one day, the day the school they cover is taking their turn, and then they leave. But you have roughly 1,000 people credentialed for SEC Football Media Days. And every credentialed media member gets a ballot. 164 votes were cast. So roughly 1 out of every 10 people bothered to fill out the ballot. It's not like this is exactly a gigantic representative sample size of all of the media that was there at SEC Media Days this week. So just as a for instance, and that is part of the reason why this has annually been a comedy of errors for the media. Ever since the SEC went to divisions in 1992, they've done this exercise where they let the media vote for the preseason all-conference team or to finish champion. In 34 tries, the media has correctly predicted the conference champion 10 times. 10 out of 34. And by the way, but for Nick Saban's dynastic run at Alabama, that number would be a lot lower. It started to normalize a bit because they just pick Alabama every year, and Saban would mostly oblige. So you only had 164 votes, and the media never gets this right. So condolences to Georgia. It's probably not going to go your way. Although I do think it's a really chalky pick and probably a good pick with Georgia and Texas there at the top. So what I like to do is sort of compare and contrast what the media said to what the odds makers say. And I put a lot more stock in the odds makers than I do in the assembled media there, the 164 souls that actually chose to fill out the ballot in Tampa. And honestly, it might have been more, except for the Wi-Fi there at the Water Street Marriott was atrocious, and maybe a lot of people couldn't get their ballot submitted because of that. So our friends over at DraftKings have Georgia plus 260 as the favorite. Texas plus 310 next. So the media and the odds makers are in lockstep there, Georgia, Texas. Then a giant drop-off. A&M, Bama, LSU, plus 850, plus 850, plus 900. They're all neck and neck right there. This is the big disagreement. It's Ole Miss. Remember, the media has Ole Miss third. The media picked Ole Miss third. The odds makers have Ole Miss sixth, and a distant sixth. And I'm going to tell you, that is my contention and will continue to be my contention about Ole Miss. I'm not a hater. I'm not wishing ill upon them, although I do wish ill upon them. I don't want them to be good. I don't want other schools in the SEC to be good. It's not exclusively to Ole Miss. It is my firmly held contention that there is no sport in the world where coaching matters more than football. And our buddy Brooks Austin, the film guy, if you heard our great interview with him earlier this week, he had a great line where he's talking about Kiffin. He used to whistle to get guys, his quarterback's attention to try to signal in a play change. Now with helmet comm, he just puts the mic down. He talks to him until there's 12 seconds left on the play clock. That matters. You don't think it matters? How about Jake Peach trying to run the Joe Brady offense? How about Joe Sloan replacing Mike Denbrock, being promoted from within? How about the Philadelphia Eagles? They win a Super Bowl, Kellen Moore leaves. Same cast of characters, offense isn't as good. You can't tell me that coaching and play calling doesn't matter. So yes, I think even though Trinidad Chambliss and Kejuan Lacey are back, and they're outstanding football players. You can't remove the maestro, the puppet master, and not expect a drawback. It was the same conversation I had about Alabama when Nick Saban walked out the door. Yes, they had a very talented roster, and they were going to win games. They were just never going to be at the level they were, and that has certainly proven and come to fruition. So that's the big disparity there. Media has Ole Miss third. Odds makers have Ole Miss sixth. Oklahoma is 7th, Tennessee 8th, and distant 7th and 8th, and then you figure out the rest of the league there at the bottom, however it may fall out. I'll give you mine. I'll give you my projected order of finish, all right? This is how I think it goes, all right? I'll write it down. We can mark it. I'll put it out there. If I'm wrong at the end of the season, laugh at me. I'll tell you the one team I got wrong last year was Oklahoma. I way devalued Oklahoma a year ago, and they ended up making the college football playoff. And I overvalued LSU. LSU's number one portal class, Nussmeier returning the whole deal. I overvalued LSU a season ago. So here you go. Here's my order of finish for 2026. I have Texas winning the SEC. I think they're the most talented team, a veteran quarterback, good coach, all that sort of stuff. And I have Georgia second. So I flip what the media and the odds makers say. I have Texas 1, Georgia 2. I have Oklahoma 3. One of my biggest takeaways, I think Oklahoma might have the best defense in college football. John Mateer back. If they are 20% better on offense, I think that is a legitimate national championship contending team. I think the schedule is what prevents them from getting to Atlanta. But I have Texas, Georgia, Oklahoma. I have LSU fourth, and then Texas A&M. I think A&M is the team this year with all of the losses on both lines of scrimmage that probably takes a micro step back. So Texas, Georgia, Oklahoma, LSU, A&M. Then I have Ole Miss. I have Ole Miss 6 like the odds makers do. And then I go Tennessee, Bama, 7-8. The back half of the league, Missouri, Auburn, who that's another one of the teams that I am probably higher on than most other people. And maybe this is a product of watching Curt Cignetti go from JMU to Indiana and bring so many JMU players and just hit the ground running because there was consistency and expectation and execution. Having Byron Brown there with Alex Golish, I think Auburn could be an 8-win team. I think that's their ceiling, but I think they can get to 8. Florida, Vanderbilt, 12. Then Mississippi State, Kentucky, South Carolina, Arkansas. I am very down on South Carolina. I don't believe in Lenora Sellers. I don't believe in Shane Beamer. I'll be interested with Kendall Briles coming in as offensive coordinator to see if that offense can be better. But I just think that they're staring down the barrel of a 5-7 season, and are likely going to end up there at the bottom of the league and firing Shane Beamer. So there's my projected order of finish for the SEC this year. All right, it's after further review. We're glad to have you with us. Our show Open Every Day is brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR, the official beer of your Fighting Tigers of LSU. By the way, we got them here with us. The new purple Bud Light aluminum bottles and cans are available in stores all over the market. We are getting ready for football season. They did an awesome job with the design. You want the 20 16-ounce bottles or the suitcase of the 12-ounce cans. You can find the officially licensed LSU Bud Light cans all over right now. So drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of your Fighting Tigers of LSU. Okay, we're going to knock out a quick break. When we come back, I do also want to get to the preseason all-conference team, which the media voted on, and some of the standouts from our week in Tampa at SEC Football Media Days. We recap all of that. Terrio in 45 minutes. It's AFR presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
AFR.
Want to feel your best? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness can help. Visit yourgoodwood.com, yourgoodwood.com, yourgoodwood.com. Hormone replacement therapy, peptide therapy, dozens of different peptides. You hear people promoting peptides everywhere now, but I've been telling you about peptides for years now. Whether it's BPC 157 for muscle or tissue repair, NAD Plus for cellular optimization, energy levels. You want things for focus, to clear brain fog, to reduce anxiety, to help you sleep at night, to build muscle, to burn fat. There's so many ways that peptides can help optimize your body's natural processes so you can feel your best and live your optimal life. And at Goodwood, lowest prices, never any contracts. Lowest prices, never any contracts. If you're interested, go to the place where they have the lowest prices and never any contracts. It's Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com. Online, yourgoodwood.com.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
From the day that he stepped on that campus, you can see it in his eyes. Like, he's the definition of a Tiger. Like, he's the definition of a Tiger, and he's going to put the world on display this year. He's such a leader. Like, when he talks, like, you feel it in your body. Like, you feel it. He's one of those people on defense. Like, if he's out there, you know you got something good.
That's Trey'Dez Green talking about LSU transfer safety Ty Benefield. Secrets out about Ty Benefield. Remember ESPN did their feature of the top 50 defensive players in college football this year? They had Ty Benefield 6. Not the 6th best safety, not the 6th best transfer, like the 6th best defensive player in the country. I mean, take that for what it's worth. It's an attaboy and a hat tip to what the expectation is, and that the people are getting to know that guy's name, and LSU fans will as well. Well, as Trey'Dez talking about Ty Benefield, both of them were honored on the preseason All-SEC team. So your first teamers on offense, Trey'Dez Green and Jordan Seaton made the first team. Defensively, Prince Willoughby and Whit Weeks were first teamers. And then Grant Chadwick, first team All-SEC punter, which is kind of an oddity because I don't even know that it's a definitive certainty that Chadwick is the start. I'm assuming he will be, but preseason first team All-SEC. And then second team, DJ Pickett and Ty Benefield, so a couple of defensive backs there. It's worth noting they didn't differentiate corner safety. You just picked 4 defensive backs. And so Benefield and Pickett were on the second team. Braylon Moore was the third team center. They did choose a center and then 4 other players, guards or tackles. It was interchangeable. And then the other third teamer was TJ Daugherty, linebacker TJ Daugherty. So you look at LSU's sort of high-priced acquisitions, the number 1 left tackle, Jordan Seaton, preseason All-SEC first team. Number 1 edge rusher, Prince Willoughby, 9.5 sacks a year ago, 13 TFLs. Preseason first team All-SEC. Tigers prioritized retaining Trey'Dez Green, Whit Weeks, Braylon Moore, DJ Pickett, all those guys. Preseason first team All-SEC. And then, of course, guys like Daugherty and Benefield were massive acquisitions in the portal who are going to be key contributors on the defensive side of the ball. And they're on the All-SEC team as well as Grant Chadwick, the punter. So congrats to those guys. But I think we could all acknowledge it is far more impactful to be an all-conference team member after the season than before the season. I mean, a year ago, Whit Weeks was a preseason first-team All-American. And he had an injury-plagued season that was massively disappointing. So Whit, preseason first-team All-SEC again, and justifiably so. But it is going to be so it's going to be exciting to see a full-speed 100% Whit Weeks partnered with TJ Daugherty and Devon Keys as well to see what that looks like this year with Blake Baker's defense running around out there. All right, it's after further review. I do want to get to some SEC Media Day standouts as we sort of wrap up our coverage from Tampa. We'll do that. I also want to remind you about our friends at Rouse's because tomorrow's going to be a really fun day over at Rouse's. It's a fun summer event that they're going to do at every single Rouse's location tomorrow, Saturday from 11 to 2. They're calling it A Taste of Summer. 11 to 2 at every Rouse's location. They're going to have some amazing things if you want to go stop by. Check out its smoked sausage, fresh cut watermelon and dragon fruit, seafood cocktails, cheese samples, sardines, snowballs, ice cream and toppings, seasonal Hatch chili favorites, some summer dips, and so much more. So get on by any Rouse's location Saturday from 11 to 2 for A Taste of Summer at every Rouse's Market location. You can RSVP on their Facebook page or just pop in at any Rouse's location Saturday from 11 to 2 at Rouse's. This feels like home. All right, we had a busy 4 days of coverage at SEC Football Media Days in Tampa. Figured let's take a quick minute and hit some of the highlights. Well, we appreciate all the guests that stopped by our table at Radio Row and took time to visit with us. And among them was Roger Denny, who's the new Oklahoma athletic director and made headlines when he talked about what that athletic department is looking to do as far as new revenue.
We've got a plan we're putting together, and ultimately, as we sit here today, I'll tell you explicitly, our goal is to find $50 million in new revenue. And so
recurring, perpetual.
Yeah, that's our challenge, and feel really good about the team that we've put together to get there.
They're trying to find $50 million in new revenue there in Norman, Oklahoma. Challenge darn every athletic department is facing. Well, Brooks Austin made his annual appearance. If you're not familiar, he's the film guy. I probably got more compliments on that segment than any other that we did with any media member this week from all of you giving great feedback, and I appreciate that. But Brooks has built a large YouTube following doing film breakdowns, and he had a lot to say about LSU's transfers, about Lane Kiffin's offense, and about quarterback Sam Leavitt.
I think Sam Leavitt's going to get an NFL GM fired, and it's not his fault. Okay, it's not the GM's fault. What it's going to be is Lane Kiffin's going to make that guy look like a god. You know what I mean? Because that's what they do, man. They put up points.
You want to feel really optimistic about LSU's offense this year? Go back and listen to the interview we did earlier this week with Brooks Austin and check him out, the film guy, on YouTube. Another reason to feel really good is listening to Whit Weeks on Thursday. His usual energy, his big smile, but there was so much meat on the bone with Whit, the 15 minutes that he and I chopped it up. And I loved what he said, that sort of dismount about how he feels physically, because I asked him after he gave us a 5-minute detailed explanation of the injury history with his ankle. I asked him when's the last time or when he actually felt 100%.
The beginning of May, I really started.
After spring.
Yeah. After spring. So I got it cleaned up in January. Went in there, did some stuff, kind of got some stuff cleaned up, cut out of there. And that's what I was recovering for this spring. Like I tell people, it's like I got a new ankle right now. Like I truly like, and like just even not even playing football, but just like in life.
Think about it. Whit Weeks told us that last year in fall camp when he was taking days off, it was because he was not 100%. That was in fall camp when you should be your freshest. He was not 100% from the ankle injury he suffered in the bowl game against Baylor. So at no point last year did you have 100% Whit Weeks. Think about the dynamic difference when you add TJ Daugherty, who led the SEC in tackles, to a 100% Whit Weeks. You may have the best linebacker tandem in college football. And on the other side, of course, Trey'Dez Green talked about his decision to give up basketball full time.
I'm not worrying about basketball anymore. I know what I could do in football. It's a lot of 6'7" guys in basketball on that court.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of 6'7" guys in football.
I think the way that I said it when Trey'Dez committed to LSU was, you're a 6'7" forward in basketball, you're just another guy. You're 6'7" tight end, you're a freak show. You're a matchup problem. Finally, Trey'Dez Green seems to have let that sink in. His body is right. Went through detail about his percentage body fat, how he's continuing to grow. And the other thing that's fascinating was hearing him talk about offensively and his knowledge and understanding of the offensive game and what defenses are trying to do. Remember, Trey'Dez really had one full season of high school football. So dude's only been playing football for like 4, maybe 5 years of his life. So you're just scratching the surface. From 13 catches to 33 catches a year ago, what could Trey'Dez Green do this year? He is going to be, in my opinion, the breakout star in the SEC, if not all of college football on the offensive side this season. Now, how can you not love Marty Smith? I told him on the interview, nobody in sports media is universally loved. Marty Smith is universally loved. I don't know anybody that doesn't like Marty Smith. And he's sitting there putting, what's the little nicotine pouch things? That Zyn, is that what it's called?
Yeah, there, yeah.
Marty's sitting there popping Zyns in his mouth while we're doing the interview because of course he is. And he told us the story of the most famous interview anyone of us have ever seen, when he's hunting down Lane Kiffin at the Oxford airport before he left for Baton Rouge.
I'm on the phone with him driving this bread truck van. He's like, you're going to see the fire department. When you see the fire department, take a left. I don't see no damn fire department. I bang this left, and there are fire trucks and law enforcement just blocking the entrance. I bombed this thing off in the field, and honest to goodness, there's like a snow plow and a bush hog, and there's people flying around. We get out, and he's laughing. He's like, dude, you really are Scooby-Doo.
If you missed that conversation, I wish I had half an hour with Marty just to let him tell every detail of that story. And he said there's other things that will be in a book one day, but that's a really cool piece on the record of one of the most influential days in LSU football history. And we got Marty Smith to tell it on our air earlier this week, which was really cool. It's always our pleasure to have the commissioner of the SEC, Greg Sankey. I asked him his thoughts on and opinions of LSU system president Dr. Wade Roos, who in a little more than a week is going to make a presentation to LSU's biggest owners about the financial future of the athletic department.
Very engaging, very engaged in both university leadership and in the athletics leadership. He's quick to call and converse, which is something I appreciate. I think pretty transparent as we communicate. And even around sending a letter to the senators stating, hey, we're not in a position to support right now, we need some changes, was very communicative with me.
And a man who is persona non grata now. We were talking with the SEC coordinator of officials, John McDade, about the changes to the targeting rule. And then he acknowledged he is responsible for the single worst call in the history of Tiger Stadium.
I was the official on the field that threw the roughing the passer with targeting against Devin White in 2018, right? That play was what led to removing that assumption that the ruling on the field is correct and asking the replay official to evaluate all aspects of targeting.
John effing McDade. I'll never forget that, John. Every year at Media Days heretofore, John, I'm going to stick it to you and remind you that you're responsible for the single worst call in the history of Tiger Stadium. John, nice attenders. All right, it's after further review. We're glad you're hanging out with us here. Thanks to all of our guests. I need to count them up to see how many in totality across OTB, Hunt Palmer Show, and AFR stopped by our table this week. We love bringing the coverage, and we're so thankful for all of our partners. FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake, Parish Construction and Roofing, Rev Fiber, Relief Windows. Without them, we don't have the opportunity to go do things like that. It is an expensive thing to fly 6 people to Tampa and stay in hotels for 5 nights, or 4 nights. 4 nights. 4 nights. Anyway, it's pay for the table, the internet, it's an expensive thing to do. And you can't do it without great sponsors and partners. So many thanks to our sponsors who made that possible, that broadcast possible. Which, by the way, today is the deadline to enter for the roof giveaway at Parish Construction and Roofing. ParishBuilt.com, ParishBuilt.com. We're giving away 2 free fortified roofs. One in Baton Rouge, one in New Orleans. Today is the deadline to enter. You don't have to get an inspection. There's no purchase necessary. Like, you could have gotten a new roof literally yesterday. And if you win, we'll come put a new fortified roof on. ParishBuilt.com. Go enter. Today's the deadline. Enter ParishBuilt.com. We'll announce a winner next week. All right, it's after further review. We'll knock out a quick break, come back, go around the SEC. Great news for a former Tiger. Bad news for a former SEC star. We'll get to that as we continue. It's AFR.
AFR.
Man, summer Saturdays are awesome. Especially if you got a pool. Go in the backyard, take a dip, crack open an ice cold Bud Light, enjoy that time with family, just unwinding, getting some natural vitamin D from the sun. You can make that dream your reality. You got to call Duplessis Pools. You can start by logging on to DuplessisPools.com, DuplessisPools.com, DuplessisPools.com. Voted a top 50 pool builder in America 2 years in a row, and they are the only Louisiana pool builder to earn that distinction. It's from Pool and Spa Magazine. And maybe you're thinking, I can't afford that. Not sure if I want a pool. Listen, or maybe you want a pool and you just have always come up with excuses why not. Today's the day, like in this moment right now. Get out your phone. If you're at your computer, punch in DuplessisPools.com. Like literally do it right now, DuplessisPools.com. Start that process today at DuplessisPools.com. Doesn't matter that it's a Friday. I still want you to log on to lainsurance.net right now. lainsurance.net. And maybe you're thinking to yourself, Matt, I hear you talk about the insurance thing all the time. I'll deal with it Monday. Stop procrastinating. Do it right now so when they're back in the office on Monday, they're ready to get cranking on getting you that quote. LAinsurance.net, LAinsurance.net, LAinsurance.net. That's the website, LAinsurance.net. It's super easy. Better coverage for less money. Doesn't cost you anything. It's not a line. That's true. It doesn't cost you anything to have them shop. They will look at your current coverage. They'll look at the relationships they have with dozens of the top-rated companies in the world. They'll shop to see if they can get you better coverage for less money. If they can, awesome. If they can't, stick with what you got. It's that simple. LAinsurance.net. Why wouldn't you let them shop? It's Insurance Network of Louisiana. LAinsurance.net.
After Further Review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
Pavia under center, a rarity out of the I formation. He'll fake it. He can run it. He can throw it. He's going to run it for the touchdown. Diego Pavia put it in his...
29 touchdown passes, 10 rushing touchdowns. Diego Pavia was a first-team All-American, the SEC Offensive Player of the Year, won the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award as the best upperclassman quarterback in college football. And he has been waived by the Baltimore Ravens. Just a dramatically different reality in college football as opposed to the NFL. Diego Pavia did something that quite literally no one has done, has made Vanderbilt relevant on the national stage, won 10 games a season ago, and did so with sort of a bravado. Of course, after he lost the Heisman, I should say was runner-up to Fernando Mendoza on the Heisman, he put on Instagram, F all the voters. So he was a lightning rod in college football, but undeniably an amazing college football player, did something that really none of us have seen at a place like Vanderbilt. But Pavia has been waived by the Baltimore Ravens to create room for their new free agent signing, former LSU offensive lineman Ethan Posick. Posick, you might recall, he ruptured his Achilles this past year playing for the Cleveland Browns. And now, as a unrestricted free agent, Posick has signed a one-year free agent deal, 1 year, $4.5 million deal with the Baltimore Ravens. And so to make room for Posick, they waived Diego Pavia. So we'll see if Pavia is back on the roster. It could be one of those things for Pavia where, it's an up-down type thing whenever they have room for, they'll make room for a roster, a position, whatever it may be. But the story nationally, of course, is going to be about Diego Pavia, and I understand why. But for us here locally, I'm far more excited about Ethan Posick and the opportunity that he's going to get to go play as the center playing with Lamar Jackson. I mean, a two-time NFL MVP and on a contending team. We know that, Posick started his career in Seattle and where he was drafted. And obviously Seattle won a title this past year, but Posick wasn't with Seattle. Posick was with Cleveland. And the Browns have been just an atrocious organization, as we know. But now you get an opportunity to go from Cleveland to Baltimore, to play with an MVP, to play on a contending team. And I'm excited for him, man. In his career, Posick has played in 114 games. He started 97 of them after spending the first 5 years of his career in Seattle. He spent the last 4 in Cleveland. So 9 years. This will be his 10th NFL season, and he's finally going to have the opportunity to play for a contender. So congrats to Ethan Posick on the free agent contract. Good luck to him. Last time I saw Posick actually was at Supper Club. It was early in the offseason, and he's in town. He and his wife live here in the offseason. He married a girl from Louisiana. And so they live here in the offseason. And Eric and I were at dinner at Supper Club, and Posick had the Achilles injury, so he was on one of the little knee scooters, and so he kind of was well on the way out, wheeled himself over, and we chatted for a bit. As genuinely good a dude as you can imagine. Worked out at Traction for years, so I'd see Ethan over there. He's a unit. He's just a massive mountain of a human, and he's a great dude, and I'm really excited for him, and to get to go play for a contender is awesome. So great former Tiger, easy to pull for. Disappointing for Diego Pavia. I'm sure his football career will continue in some capacity, somewhere, somehow, some way along the way, but this is a great move for Posick, and I'm excited for him. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. We're brought to you by Hancock Whitney. HancockWhitney.com/Matt. They gave us custom URL if you want to check that out. HancockWhitney.com/Matt if you want to get started. I'd say I've told you that for me, Hancock Whitney has been my bank for as long as I've had a checking account. I mean, I was a kid, opened up a checking account. Years ago, Hancock Bank and Whitney Bank merged to form Hancock Whitney, but I've been with them for literally as long as I've ever had a checking account. You can get your custom LSU debit card or your Saints debit card. I have the gold Saints debit card. They have gold and black, so you can get either one of those, and you get purple or gold LSU debit card. So you can literally be a card-carrying member of the Who Dat Nation or of Tiger Nation, courtesy of our friends at Hancock Whitney, the official banking partner of the LSU Tigers, the official banking partner of the New Orleans Saints. Get to know your banker right there at Hancock Whitney with branches all over the Southeast, more than 200 ATM locations all over the Southeast. So wherever you go in the region across the conference, you're going to bump into a Hancock Whitney bank. HancockWhitney.com/Matt. Okay, we do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference, the Mississippi State Bulldogs.
Veteran defensive line coach David Turner has announced his retirement. Turner had 3 different stints with the Bulldogs, working under Sylvester Croom, Dan Mullen, Zach Arnett, and now Jeff Levy during his time in Starkville. Also coached some of the great defensive linemen in the history of that program, like Chris Jones and Jeffrey Simmons. Defensive line coach for nearly 40 years in college football. Ty Warren, who joined the Bulldog staff at the end of the 25 season, will now coach the defensive line.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
More coaching staff news. Lafayette Stewart Jr. coming aboard as the director of recruiting for the defense. He made the announcement on Friday. Quote, "I'm home," Stewart said in a social media post. Stewart joined the Gamecocks after spending the last 2 years at NC State, where he was the assistant director of recruiting. Started his career at Charlotte.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
Cam Williams has had another surgery on his foot. Mark Pope confirmed that news. At the press conference, Mark Pope said Williams had another surgery, but Kentucky hopes to have him for the start of the basketball season. He's a 6'7" wing, averaged 6 points, 2 boards, and an assist this past year, shooting 45% from the field.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
And Arkansas made history signing a Japanese-born pitcher on Friday, Shogo Miyauchi. Shogo Miyauchi. I don't get another bit. Come on.
All right, yeah. I mean, you nailed it all 3 times. So I was like, all right.
First Japanese baseball player to go from high school straight to the Southeastern Conference. 6'5" righty, signed with the program earlier in the summer. Burst on the scene as one of Japan's top pitchers 2 years ago. Now will continue his career at Arkansas. Okay, there you have it. That is Around the SEC. We're glad to have you aboard with us here. Friday's show is brought to you by Don Juan Cigar Bar in Town Center. Remember, new website, DonJuanBatonRouge.com. They used to have a website for Don Juan Cigar Bar and a separate website for Don Juan Cigar Company, the retail shop. Well, they just said, why don't we just be more efficient and make one website for both? DonJuanBatonRouge.com. Check it out, DonJuanBatonRouge.com. All right, let's now get a break. Final break of hour number 1. When we come back, a crushing loss for the reigning NFC South champion right as they started training camp. We'll get into that. Terrio's here in 17 minutes. Stick around. It's AFR.
After further review.
GLO, glowresources.com, glowresources.com. They're complete employer solutions. It's Glow Resources. We say it every day, but if you want your business to function at its most optimal level, you got to have the right people in the right seats on the bus. That's what Glow Resources does, because Glow Resources conducts some 50 interviews a day on average. So over 15,000 interviews over the course of a year. Glow Resources knows the questions to ask to get the right people in the right job for your business to make you the most effective and efficient you can be. You want a strong team, a bright future for your organization to be better together. Great things happen when people work together. Glow Resources helps you do it. So check them out online at glowresources.com. Start there, glowresources.com. GLO, glowresources.com. Complete employer solutions, glowresources.com.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
Thursday was the first day of training camp for the Carolina Panthers. And on the first day of training camp, the Carolina Panthers suffered a devastating injury to Nic Scourton, their second-year outside linebacker, a guy who, opposite free agent acquisition Jalen Phillips, was expected to lead the Panthers' pass rush. He has torn his ACL, and Cameron Wolfe was on NFL Live and described the scene when the injury happened.
Brutal news for the Panthers, brutal news for Scourton, who is expected to have a huge year 2 impact for the Panthers. You mentioned his 5 sacks, but the thought was he was going to be a really strong duo with their highly priced pass rusher, Jalen Phillips. And I was there at practice and watched it, and he took an awkward step towards the end of practice, and he fell down. And I've watched a lot of practices. I haven't seen many where a player gets carted off and every single player comes up and hugs them. There were players kneeling around, and you could feel the heaviness of the impact and the injury. And unfortunately for the Panthers, the test revealed the bad news that they were fearing.
A year ago as a rookie, Scourton, who was a second-round pick, he was selected 51st overall, you might remember, coming out of Texas A&M. He played in all 17 games with 8 starts. He finished the year with 5 sacks, 7 TFLs, 47 tackles. So Scourton, a second-round pick, had a very productive rookie season with the Carolina Panthers. But now his season is over, and Jalen Phillips is going to be counted on an even larger role there to carry the load of the pass rush for the Carolina Panthers. You know, Dave Canales broke through in Carolina. They won. Look, I mean, they were sub 500, but they won the division a year ago. And now is trying to build upon that on the backs of Bryce Young, former number 1 overall pick, and you were hoping that you'd have this dynamic edge rusher duo, but half of that duo now is down. Nic Scourton done for the season with a torn ACL, and you just can't. I know it's cliche to say, but you have to have luck in injuries, but it's just true. I mean, this is it's nobody's fault. Nothing right or wrong. We're doing anything wrong on the first day of training camp. You heard Cameron Wolfe say it. He took an awkward step. He takes an awkward step, tears his ACL, and now Nic Scourton's season is over. You just sometimes have to have some good fortune when it comes to injuries. And for the Carolina Panthers here, that's unfortunate. This is the opposite of that. For New Orleans and the rest of the NFC South, it takes a dynamic player at an impact position off the field for the season. And, I was looking earlier today, and we put this up at LouisianaSports.net because I got this the updated odds in my inbox for the division winners for this coming season in the NFL. And it's so interesting to see how tightly compact the odds are for the NFC South. I mean, some divisions, the odds are not particularly close. But in the NFC South, the odds currently, we have this up at LouisianaSports.net if you want to check it out. The Bucs are plus 205, plus 205 favorite. The Saints are plus 250, right behind them. The Falcons at plus 300, and then the Panthers, the reigning division champion, at plus 350. So, I mean, you have all of these teams in the division within 145 points of each other there, according to the odds makers. So, it very much feels like this division is up for grabs, and the team that won it a year ago with roughly the same roster coming back is bringing up the rear, but is a breath away from the team projected to be the favorite. So who can get the best quarterback play, who can stay healthy? I really think a 9-8 season could win the NFC South this year, and well, why not the Saints? Kind of catch a break with Nic Scourton, the torn ACL done for the year, first day into camp. All right, it is after further review. Oddly, it's an opportunity to remind you about Our Lady of the Lake, a championship health partner of LSU Athletics. Of course, at Our Lady of the Lake, you hear how they say, the LSU athletes, that they say, I trust the lake. It's their mantra, where LSU athletes, they're cared for by the phenomenal healthcare providers at FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake. But they also have the contract for the Student Health Center, and everyday champions like you and me. I've told you about my experience with so many entities at the lake over the years. Drew sees multiple specialists, neurology, gastro doctors, GI doctors over at the Our Lady of the Lake Children's Hospital, pediatrics as well. Pediatrics over at Our Lady of the Lake Children's Hospital. My doctor is Dr. Curtis Chastain at the Our Lady of the Lake Men's Health Group. Point is, whether it's cancer care, if it's stroke, heart health, everyday care, or even the Lake After Hours clinics that you see all over town, you can trust the Lake. FMOLhealth.org/LSU. FMOLhealth.org/LSU. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU together, we roar. All right, it's after further review. We are glad to have you hanging out with us here on a Friday edition of AFR presented by Dan Juan Cigar Bar. Terry will be in studio coming up here after Sports Center in just a smidge. And a lot of fallout and reaction to what's going on, what happened this week at SEC football media days. And, we went through the projected order of finish, and the media has LSU projected 5th in the SEC. But Paul Feinbaum, who was on our flight last night, by the way, and got to visit with Paul on his show before I got on the plane yesterday. Paul Feinbaum was on Get Up today, and he likes Lane Kiffin's Tigers.
The expectations are through the roof. Is that the reality, though, with so many new players and Sam Leavitt coming over from Arizona State? I do think this is a playoff team, and I think if they fail to reach the playoffs, it will be a bitter disappointment, but it won't be the end of Lane Kiffin. He will be there for a while.
Obviously, LSU isn't going to fire Lane Kiffin no matter how the season goes. That goes without saying. But I believe Paul's right. If this team does not reach the playoffs, it will be a bitter disappointment considering all of the buy-in, all of the resources given Lane Kiffin. But there's 7 other teams in the league that feel the exact same way. Hour 2 next.
After further review.
We're brought to you by Arco Power Systems, ARCCO, 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 and Arco is their name, You're all going to remember that, huh? It's going to be stuck in your head, isn't it, Muse?
I love it. I really do. I like that a lot.
Muse is going to be singing that at the top of the hour.
I will be.
We'll be getting out of here at 6 o'clock, and Muse is going to be going, promo?
That's actually so true. That's spot on. No. Do the Arco lie.
Arco Power Systems Industrial Generac Generator Power. We're in storm season. While we were in Tampa, I heard there was a disturbance here. Like there's a little tropical event that came through. Listen, when the storm's in the Gulf, that ain't the time to start preparing. The time is now. You need a generator for your business, you need Arco. ARCCO.com.